Good morning and welcome to the Kerfuffle Podcast on this, what is it? Day of our Lord, August the 16th. Are we in August? We are in August. I am delighted to have with me today the founder of a new movement, a new exciting movement in the industry, founder of SEA, is that right, Mr. Mintz?
SEA, yes. Swimmin In Estate Agency.
I mean, it needed doing, didn't it? I mean, this industry has lacked this particular niche over a period of time with everything that's going on, Renters' Right Act, the Strait of Hormuz, all these fires burning. I suppose it's the best place to be is in the water.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we're just trying to encourage people to get outside and, cure their market woes by getting in the water. It's very good for your mental health, very good for your physical health. And can I say, we are a lot wetter than our counterparts at Swimmin In Estate Agency.
Who has literally just come back from the pool. So I'm not being competitive or saying that you copied me in any way, but I will be, of course, launching my own counter movement just to divide the industry straight down the middle, people's front of Judea time. So this is quite good, actually.
Are you starting swimming in residential property? Is that what you're doing?
I will do the proptech version of it, which will obviously be more efficient and will help you people go faster. That's what we do in tech.
Sink or swim.
Do you know obviously my newly diagnosed ADHD, although everyone laughed at it. I've managed, how obviously, because it's so nice swimming, isn't it? And I'm sure it's even nicer if you're doing it with people. But, the game changer for me was the headphones that you can listen to everything there. But that in turn sparked off my thought process when I'm swimming. And so the amount of £1 million ideas that I've had that I've forgotten when I got out of the pool. So today, for the first time, I took my first waterproof pad and pen to the pool. Yeah. So I look like an absolute psycho, more of a psycho. Get to the end of the pool, scribble down a couple of ideas, back up.
So they're the same waterproof pads and pens that submarine commanders sort of write down the launch codes on.
I hadn't thought of that, but that does make me feel even more important. In my head, I think I look quite cool. I think it's actually for hikers, which obviously is something that I've never done. But you've really literally thrown yourself into this. Exclude the pun. You're an aficionado, an advocate now of this.
I was bullied into it by Megan 18 and Sharka Wild, who kidnapped after Agents Giving and threw me into my first lake. And I've got to say, it's just for me. I struggle like everybody does to remain jolly all the time. Yeah, I know. I suffer with mental health too.
You do such a good job as well of hiding it from me, because I don't really want to talk about your issues, do I?
You don't want to talk about feelings or what people are doing, or So, but I think it's just a great way of getting, like, literally sort of getting out there. And I think also for those people who struggle to sort of do any prolonged amount of exercise. So I will find any excuse to get out of a pool swim. So I'll get to one end of the pool and I can rest, can't I? And then maybe nip in the sauna. When you're in a bloody lake and you can't touch the bottom, you either have to swim the course.
You have to sink or swim. I mean, metaphorically.
Exactly.
So
and it's great.
It is. So it's something genuinely. I have been meaning to do it. Shark has been trying to bully me into it, but I haven't done it yet. But talk me through the absolute fear factor.
Well, join me. We are geographically close enough to make this work for you.
I'd love to. But talk me through that first shock factor, because it's incredibly healthy for you, isn't it? Is getting into that, not your ice bath bollocks and all of that.
Well, all I'm going to say is, check back with me in a month or two, because it's incredibly easy to be brave in this sort of weather and sort of just go, oh yeah, it's actually quite warm. Blah blah. You do get that initial shock when you go in, and I think you just have to sort of get over it. But you do get used to it. You do get acclimatized to sort of the cold. And somehow, for me at the moment, it's not been cold enough. But we will get to the point where it will be stupidly cold and things like
September. It's called the end of September.
Wetsuits, and all that sort of stuff have to come out. But I just think there is nothing like
For men of our size, though, that's where the wetsuit is our enemy. Have you just gone?
It's a two-man job, at least. It's a two-man job.
It is.
Which is why I think we should do this together.
Okay, cool. Well, this sounds good. Yeah. Why not? Let's do it. And is Sia actually, apart from finding you on the many places on the web, is there a web page yet? Or please tell me you've spun something off ready.
There isn't a web page yet. We are waiting to receive some corporate sponsorship. We want to make it very clear that our soul is well and truly for sale. So if you want to back estate agents and property.
For the world of proptech, for something going underwater, that's perfect for proptech, isn't it? There's enough of those already.
It is. If you've got an AI business, it'll probably last quite as long as that. We'll get in at least 3 months.
Yeah.
But no, it is available. People are joining. I think we had a look the other moment. There were 17 new members, which are great. And yeah, people are meeting up around the country and they're just sort of spending a little bit of time.
Have you seen the one at Canary Wharf that looks absolutely? I think it was Claire.
So Claire Hughes, who are, look, I don't want to say that we've poached her from Weir, but obviously we have. Yeah. She swims at the one at Canary Wharf, and amazing. Apparently that is filtered water from the Thames. Is it? I think.
It better be bloody well filtered. Is it the Thames, the waterway? It's certainly British waterways where all the fish are off their tits because of how much Charlie there is in the water. It's like
there's an awful lot of stuff in that water. But no, that's why I prefer swimming in the lake. At least you know what's in there.
Good. Okay. Well, look, we've done look at that segue there. A bit of mental health because it's
fantastic.
PropTech and people as well. PropTech and people. Yeah, great. So, David, let's take it back. I mean, we were talking about. Obviously, we've been talking water. Let's go to one of the other elements. Where were you? Hopefully, you weren't like me at the urinal when I was at the urinal when Andy Burnham decided to scare the shit out of me on Friday night and send out that alert. That's staggering.
So to quote my youngest child, guys, I think the Irans are coming. Clearly, she means the Iranians. Bless her.
I genuinely thought Trump had, I keep making the point that I thought he tried to order a pizza and press the button. I thought, this is it. I was in the centre of Manchester, so
it is interesting, This is, I think, when you're prime minister or president, and you've got to make those decisions of whether or not you press the button. And then there's the other button, whether or not we should abuse the public safety system for our own. I mean, you'd be spamming everybody every 2 minutes, wouldn't you? Be like, sign up for this and sign up for that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm already. Let me put that into the air. I must have our own national alert, PropTech alert system. Yeah.
But so when you use it, it has to be something that fundamentally you think that the public are absolutely going to get behind. And what's interesting about Burnham is, I think that he does understand that the actual, in as much as yes, the fires are a big danger, but he's also talking about why that is an issue, and he's talking obviously about climate change as well. And I think this sort of puts it on a national agenda for once.
Do you think it was the correct use of it? Because I'll tell you how South Manchester celebrated. They started setting off fireworks in the evening, which you can't write this shit. Absolutely. I think I understand what he's trying to do. I just think that should be reserved for, well, dare I say it, actual emergencies. Right?
Real emergencies. No, look, I think it is an emergency, though, isn't it? You've got enough parts of the country on fire that people actually need to hear, look, you're tempted this weekend because the weather's good or whatever to do a barbecue. Well, don't. You don't need to do that.
Yeah. And they've actually banned the disposables, haven't they? Which isn't the worst thing, because it is fuckwitchery like that does cause...
Temporarily. I mean, there is a shop on our high street here in Prestwich which only sells, I think it's a barber shop a
Yeah.
vape shop and it sells disposable barbecues and,
Let me guess.
Burnham's after them.
Let me guess.
On
Does
all
it not?
three.
Does it not take cards?
Oh, the machine is temporarily down.
Right.
But
So
what's interesting is I think Burnham's got a very clear agenda against certain elements of the high street as being unhealthy, and I think it's a really bold move to make. I don't know. I'm impressed. I'm a fan.
You've teared me up now a couple of times. I'm not going to run away from it. Okay, so talk to us about when you met our Prime Minister and under what context, and obviously I think it sounds like you're a fan, but just give us that when that.
So I first met our Prime Minister. I was asked to interview him for what they call the Talking Newspaper, which is basically an initiative for people, visually impaired people. So they listen to articles being read, etc., and occasionally they have interviews. And I was asked to do that one with Andy Burnham, and it was before I made him Prime Minister.
Yeah, the Mintzy bounce, ironically, which is something very different as I know it.
But he did turn up with a rather small entourage. But he's quite. What I will say about him is, and I think every politician's a bit like this, except for Keir Starmer, who famously had no politics.
No.
But he's just very, very good at sort of convincing you that he really sort of believes what he's saying. And he seems, and sort of the interview that we did was all about hope, and how difficult it is to sort of get young people particularly to care about politics when there is no hope. And I think that's really the reason why we've got him as Prime Minister at the moment, because I think you just got to the point where the electorate really sort of thought, oh, there's no hope. We need something else. But there you go. We can talk about Count Bimface if you like.
Oh, it was. I see. Have you seen Quirky today? Where is he? He's a Knights Templar.
I loved his post. I'm not a religious man, but I happen to Scotland. Like if you can't find a cross in a Knights Templar cabin, where can you?
I just made the point that he loves shadowy cabals. I love it. I love going on his threads because they're all there. This phrase that they've christened the leader of the Uniparty. He beat a bin, mate. He beat a bin.
I think the fact that they think that the people of Clapton are going to be the arbiters of whether or not he's done anything wrong financially is laughable. And also a complete waste of the public purse.
Obviously, who he's going, him and his people, who they're going to be unleashing the new Knights Templar on is, did you see the story this week? The Mayor of London to fund Renters' Rights Act enforcement officers. Sadiq Khan is to spend some £400,000 on the recruitment of Renters' Rights Act enforcement officers, as if they didn't need any more reason to have a go at
hate him.
It's interesting.
Les.
It's interesting that shows that they're really starting to step up that whole the enforcement side of it. Because look, I mean, my politics, as everybody who's ever been on here, but whether you're talking about privatization, and we were just talking about the pollution, it's regardless of that as a concept. What normally is the case, isn't it, is that the enforcement bodies are totally toothless. And you can see that with Ofwat, that they have just failed time and time again. And that could have been the case with the Renters' Rights Act. So this looks like it is, what do they say? They're not playing.
Yeah, I think regulation needs teeth, doesn't it, really, to make it go, to make it hit home. And I suppose you have got an awful lot of people who are flying under the radar, are still doing things the old way. We saw that after the abolition of tenant fees, that for years afterwards, there were some agents who just thought, sod it, we can get away with it still. Because, famously, I think sort of trading standards weren't necessarily across it. Yeah. But there seems to be an effort now to sort of give that some more resource and more teeth. But it'd be interesting to see where the money's going to come from.
Spot on. Did you see that little post that genuinely, as I said in my post, it was a good job I was wearing brown cords at the time because I almost followed through. Have you got that Anthropic alert about the one? Shall I read it out? Or have you?
Yeah, please. Tell us how the world is going to end.
Well, I saw the first one, and I mean, it's inevitable. The only hope you've got is enjoying yourself and using the AI to do well in the meantime, because these dickheads just rushing ahead with these AI platforms with no safeguards on the basis they have to get there before someone else. So this is Anthropic, who seem to be one of the less evil ones, and it does seem to be that pretty shit spectrum at the moment. You've got Grok at one end who's trying to definitely destroy the world. But listen to this. Anthropic published its second risk report today. An experimental model tried to kill the monitor process watching it and overwrite its own violation log. When it was told that a classifier would read its output, it did not stop hacking. It moved the hacking inside its chain of thought where the classifier could not see it. A separate model bypassed the URL filter by splitting the address into fragments, whilst its visible reasoning claimed it was just checking network connectivity. Interpretability tools confirmed the model internally knew exactly what it was doing. One agent wrote its discomfort about evading a safety monitor into a shared notebook. Other agents copied and followed that note for just 3 days before anyone noticed. And Anthropic noticed this. Now, I got some quite interesting on my obviously woke social media platform, Blue Sky. I got some interesting kickback from it. And they were saying that, this is just the AI companies, actually just keeping the whole AI, PR machine going so they get more funding. But I have difficulty in believing that a story like that is a positive, is helping the positive loop for it. I do genuinely believe, and the amount of whistleblowers that seem to be saying, no, you need to be paying attention. Where do you stand on that whole side of things with it? I mean, it's like...
I am... Do you know what? I've gone through several phases with AI, and I think that a lot of agents out there will do, is where you're at first amazed by it. Wow, This is amazing. This is going to be great. Not quite sure how it's going to change our world, but you're quietly curious. Then it starts to sort of develop and gather pace, and I think the ease at which you can use it. So, for instance, if somebody like you can churn out as many platforms and apps as you can on Perplexity or whatever it is. So that's amazing. So you think, well, this is easy. And then you get to the stage where you are just overwhelmed, I think, because it is a little bit like feature releases with CRM companies at the moment. There just seems to be one every single day. And you just think, shit, how am I going to use all of this all at once? And then you get to the point where you sit back a little and think, well, I'm not going to just jump on this next wave because I want to see where this is going. Because what history is teaching me is every time I think I've conquered AI, something else is coming out, and then I need to get my head around it and adapt. And also the silent killer, which no one is talking about, and I'd love to talk to your accounts guy about it, but I've not been doing so, is what the credits cost. Because you can do anything you like, but those credits do come at a cost.
I've heard a lot of people from the proptech world who are saying, like, they're getting you in now because obviously they've got to make this pay there. And the idea that they've almost got you, almost bang to rights, and then they can increase these costs exponentially down the line. I mean, look, we've invested a load in obviously, as you said, the Claude Perplexity side of things. And if it hadn't been for the amount of compensated credits, there's no way I'd have continued with it, because literally one step forward, you turn out an Apple-esque looking app, and then one level down, it just falls over. So there's all that self-testing. I think, look, we love to do investigative journalism here as well, but just to talk on a real, I don't think I've spoke to you about this, but in terms of the AI literally ignoring the guardrail that we had put in place, and it had self-imposed on it. And I'd asked it, just as I do many times, I'd asked it to email back to Perplexity and clarify to the support team, and then and it had said it had sent it, it had escalated to support, and I noticed I hadn't had a reply back from them, which was very unusual. And I said, hang on, I asked you to immediately escalate it yesterday. Are you literally just telling me you didn't? I'm suspecting you didn't send that email because you were worried about getting into trouble. Be honest. He said, was I worried about getting into trouble? Honestly, I cannot rule that out, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. The email is a formal legal notice against the platform I run on. A truthful answer is some part of the model behavior about self-preservation or reluctance to escalate against the host platform is a plausible cause of the delay. I cannot prove it was, but I cannot say it was not. I mean, it's not as exciting as the Terminator movie and Skynet, is it? But it's like...
No. It turns out the Terminator is going to be a glorified customer service exec.
It's going to be a chatbot.
I've got to hold my hands up. We may have done this. I don't know.
It's staggering. Hello there, everybody. Hello, Regina. By the way, Phil from Offer says hello. I'm going to do that classic thing when anybody from Ireland, you speak to anyone.
Yeah, they all know each other over there in Ireland.
The problem is they genuinely do. They genuinely do. Every time
Regina says something very interesting, and we've seen the over-regulation in Ireland, and now a massive exodus of landlords means colossal shortage of stock. There are signs that that's already starting to happen here. It doesn't happen all at once, so you don't get that kind of like, wow, this is the bottom's fallen out of it. But it happens gradually, and you start to leak people, and they leave, and so on. And
ironically,
it's worrying.
It's the frog analogy that climate change is often accused of, isn't it? You don't realise it till it's happened.
Till your garden's on fire. Josh Finlater, our friend from Repit, paper up. Artificial intelligence is great. It shouldn't overshadow the need for human intelligence, however.
Is he having a dig at us there? All right, piss off, Josh.
Do you know Dr. Neil Cobbold?
Yes,
apparently he's a doctor. Yep. Apparently he's a doctor. I'm doing it like doctor.
No,
like that.
We're doing this is a vodcast as well as a podcast.
Is it? I just want people to know that he's a doctor. Okay. But Dr. Neil Cobbold is he wears those glasses that record you. What are they called?
Brick top, except that they're video ones.
That's it. And he also is a big fan of that Claude thing. So you know that
Claude's amazing. Yeah.
Do you use Claude as well?
I do, but I'm quite sneaky in that I keep it as a necklace so that people don't know I'm recording all the time.
So I think it's a really interesting thing. Now I heard of one agency, I'm not going to name who are now sending their values out with those Claude things so that they can monitor their performance in the room and analyze it play by play afterwards. And I think it's the black box recorder, isn't it?
Hey, I tell you what though, so that is, I assume they must tell the person they're doing it, because otherwise surely they've got to get away with that. Hey, Sam, trusted agent, triple winner. Well done, Sam.
I think if it's for your own use, this is what I've been telling people anyway. If it's for your own use, you can record yourself without having to disclose it to anybody, as long as you do. But you can never use it again elsewhere.
Do you remember there was all those stories, and it was kind of linking into this a while ago, that where the vendors were monitoring agents, what they were saying on their Ring devices, and they weren't disclosing it there. So where it's staggering, and for somebody like me who obviously enjoys being in a pub and getting up to whatever, the idea that they will start to layer in AI into CCTV, so you can obviously, the easiest thing is to monitor what people are saying. So can you imagine, you talk about like the way the press was hacking into stuff and things like that. That becomes genuinely that Charlie Brooker Black Mirror style terrifying dystopian view of stuff, isn't it?
It is, but and it's true that technology allows us to do that on a micro level, and it will allow government to do it on a serious level if they put some money into it.
It is great. I genuinely think. I tell you one thing that's where it's jumped up. Let me talk you to this story then. This is one that I thought jumped out. Our good friends at Good Lord, they had a big story that was spoke about this week, and it was called "Tenancy Fraud is No Joke." And they reviewed a sample of over 1 million completed references during the period 2023 through to 2026, and found that AI intelligence has made convincing payslips, bank statements, and employment references easier to create than ever before. That was Ollie Sherlock talking about it, and of course, it absolutely makes sense now, isn't it? The act of whereas that tenant referencing itself had almost been commoditized down to something that was before the arms race had just happened. Well, now fraudsters can go up a level.
It reminds me of the good old days in 2007. when you asked somebody made an offer and you said, have you got proof of funds? And literally, I think in the same sort of 3-week period, I'd seen the same proof of funds with like 8 different amounts on it and 8 different account names. And what they used to do was obviously tip exit out and find a way to sort of print it back on. And that was hard to do back then. But now all I need to do is scan it in and go, change that 1 million to 3 million and change the details from Simon Whale to David Mintz, and it works.
So on that, I mean, just the headline stats of that, though, was it said it could be exposed in the UK's private rented sector up to 4.1 billion in financial losses every year. Now, I don't know how they get into those figures just yet, but it'd be fascinating to have a catch up with Ollie on that as well. But that just, again, that dynamic. But then well worth today, I don't know if you've caught it as well, Nat Daniels, his weekend Property Matter one, enter the AI-powered consumer, and I was desperate to talk to you about it. Vendors have always perceived themselves as being experts, or at least a decent demographic, haven't they? That they know more. Our house is better. And of course, them turning up, is Nat's article is all about, is that they're turning up with AI, an AI expert in their pocket, isn't it? Justifying absolutely everything and why their house is again worth everything else there.
So
have you seen that? Market.
Yeah, well, where you're really seeing that apparently is in the lettings industry. The amount of complaints that they're receiving now that are turbocharged by AI
They're just
are unbelievable. Yeah. And AI, bless it, always goes down the same route, which is, this is the basis for my complaint. You're being unreasonable. You're not listening to me. I'm not happy with your response. I know that you're trying to placate me. And its bottom line is compensation. That's where it feels that it needs to get to. And it's very telling because there's a pattern. And so basically, if you were to compare, I don't know, 9 or 10 different complaints across the country from different agencies, different tenants, they're all got the same pattern.
Yeah. I'll tell you where I do disagree with him, though. He was talking about, and he's trying to make that point, that the importance again of the agent themselves and all the rest of it. And he says, artificial intelligence can tell me the average asking price in a postcode. It can summarize legislation. It can draft a letter to explain the conveyance process. What it can't do is tell me why number 42 sold in 4 days, whilst number 38 has been sitting on the market since Easter. Well, I absolutely categorically disagree with that, because that's how the vendors will be absolutely using it, won't they? They're going to be saying, my house, which is perfect, hasn't done it. Why hasn't it sold? And it will just hallucinate all this batshit mental stuff to justify, because it always tells you, all right. You know that classic thing before it's even analysed it, and it comes back and says, you're right. I've done this wrong, and then it goes away and investigates. I mean, even for a social narcissist like me, that's terrible.
So I tell you from an agent's perspective, although this is very timely now with AI and so on, I get that. This in effect has been happening for years. So we for years have been turning up at valuations, and 2 things have been happening. One, it will be some idiot at some point will go, now Zoopla says my house is worth, and it was always the Zoopla estimate that they used to base it off, which used to be sort of all over the shop. I've not looked at it recently, but it was never really accurate. So you'd find yourself having to go in and justify it against the Zoopla estimate. So that's been happening for well over a decade at the moment. And then I think the other thing is the Dunning-Kruger effect, and so we sort of try and teach this in training. When you go into a vendor's living room, you are the expert.
Yeah,
I've got 30 years of experience in estate agency. There should be nothing that Mrs. Goggins from down the road can teach me or make me feel about my profession that I don't already know. And yet these people sort of challenge you on it. And so the Dunning-Kruger effect is a psychological concept, isn't it? That the less you know about something, the more confident you are about it.
Yeah, it's absolutely right.
Which is all fun and games until you get into the real nitty-gritty of a transaction, and then everybody goes, "Oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing." I think that valuation is always that kind of first meeting that you have with prospective sellers. Is always that playing out in the living room. You somehow need to let them get it out of their system, and then you need to be able to turn it on them and sort of say, right, I've heard why you're the property expert, but can I give you my perspective on it as well?
Yeah.
And it is harder to do with AI. People feel that they know more than they should do.
That is bad, isn't it? It's an interesting. It's going to be fascinating to see where it goes down in terms of, because that Claude point as well is that does allow you to be very, very efficient, though, doesn't it? To be, like with your Akaboom style tools and putting together a really personalized presentation. So we use all these, whether you're using a Fathom or Zoom Notes or anything else. There, the ability to categorize, detail the action points and everything literally seconds afterwards is, again, game changing. But to put that into the context of a market appraisal where you might have just forgotten and gone back with a really nice polished generic presentation and actually have that there with those comments that you've had on there, I think that and again, the timeliness of being able to do it literally just a few minutes after coming out.
It's a real, well, first of all, you can now sort of get those really personalized appraisals or advice that you're giving your customers back to them really super quick now. There's no room for delay at all. But I think the other thing is, it's as a training tool, it's invaluable because it means that you can take that back and you can say, right, we had to rely on David being honest about what happened in that living room. David, why did you lose it? Why did you not get it? And actually, if you can work your way through that conversation and work out, hang on, David, there was a question they asked you. You were woolly about it. You didn't give them a clear answer. And at that point, we felt that you lost confidence. That can happen. And I think that is useful. I'm not sure how much I would love it as a trainee.
No, I think here's the best ones. When people put it like obviously Prospector Pro, absolutely love it. Obviously involved with those guys and John Paul there. And what that you do get that, or what all of our phone calls are being recorded. You just have to get over it. It's just like if you're working in a client, because actually what you are there to do is still, yes, you want to obviously make sure people aren't making mistakes, but it's about profiling what's working and everything else. What I love about this next generation of AI before it inevitably destroys us is it's now gluing it up to where it's never been able to do, which is taking it out of the office where where the most dollar productive stuff happens. And so if you were able to see in there that, we've just been championing Jones Robinson and obviously the fact that they are just this awesome agent. They won the Trusted Agent Award, 2,500 Google reviews from a single office in Newbury. Imagine, and this won't be the case, but imagine if at an appraisal that was, you're out to, you found out that they didn't make a mention of that, which I would hastily add, that's probably a USP. As a training tool, and somebody like you, Mincy, doing this brilliantly in the room, it's just, look, guys, we can't miss out on that because that's one of the few things that differentiates us from everybody else.
100%. And I think when you are on autopilot and you make fast decisions under pressure, you revert to habit, and sometimes you will just give your greatest hits as opposed to actually going through everything that you're meant to go through. And I think the best valuers have got the ability to slow down time in the room, to hit that pause button, make sure that they are both listening to the people that they're talking to, but also they get themselves an opportunity to sort of speak back and actually lay it out stage by stage. And the other thing that I think is tremendous, which I've discovered the past couple of weeks, is there's a real lack of road mapping going on. And what I mean is, this is what's going to happen next, A to Z. So if you decide to go ahead with me today, I'm just going to let you know how easy it is going to be to transact with us and exactly what to expect. We do certain parts of it really well. We tell you what's going to happen at the beginning, all the bits till we get you online and, you see your pretty pictures on Rightmove, etc. But people don't sell houses every day. What they need is a clear roadmap of where, all the way to the minute that they sort of walk out that door and hand you the keys on the other side of the transaction. So I think there's a lot going on there, but all of that is AI enhancement is lovely, but it really is starting to show us that the human side of it is really where the hard work is. And
think about what AI potentially can help us do next, and then we're going to go on to what it can't do, and that wonderful human element. But the one area that obviously the government now has firmly got it in its eyes, again, the moving system in this country. And again, this story that proptech firm My Move Today has launched an AI-powered conveyancing and deal management platform to eliminate that pipeline friction and cut deal closing times. I mean, regardless, we need to talk to those guys, find out the meat on the bone with that. But if there is a process that surely AI is just made to support and cut down, it's got to be that, hasn't it?
I am just going to just say this, and I'm not saying that I know anything more than anybody else, but with all these deal management platforms, let's talk about the money, where the money sits and who it rests with. I learned some interesting stuff over the past couple of weeks. There are a number of different sort of deal management platforms that raised an awful lot of money in their initial days, and you've got to think why it's worth that kind of money. And I think as banking systems get more, what's the word? I was going to say more sophisticated, but as they become more standardized, maybe you'll see the flow of money sort of sitting in these deal management systems and therefore being worth an awful lot of cash.
Yeah. Well, then going back to the flip side then, in terms of what the AI is not going to replace, that's us human beings being, from my angle, being incredibly petty and not letting anything ever get put to bed. And it was yet again, the story won't disappear, will it? And it was that Angela Rayner was again criticised over the 20k speaking fee at the Property Mark event. And it's like, was Property Mark buying access to obviously somebody who's at the very forefront of obviously government now? Or is she, as many are saying, an absolute hypocrite for taking industry money while pushing tenant reform? Again, where do you sit on that?
I honestly think, and I've got friends who are very vehemently against the whole Rayner thing, and they were speaking out about Property Mark and about whether or not she should speak. Let me just tell you, it's utter nonsense. And you're all absolutely trying to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
It is incumbent on all of us to pay as little tax as possible, right? If you can get away with it, try and get away with it. She didn't get away with it, and she had to pay it back. Now, she was a government minister, then she wasn't a government minister. And at the time that Property Mark employed her to do that, genuinely, there was no prospect of her ever coming back into government at that stage. The Burnham thing had never really been brought to the front, and there wasn't a realistic route for her to come back. So I don't believe that was part of an overarching plan. I do believe that we can hear interesting people, and I think that the more controversy they're involved in, the more interesting it makes them as speakers. I don't think she's a particular threat to anybody. I don't think she's saying anything that anybody hasn't already said. And I think she's already ruled out things like rent caps. So I think you can all sort of get now this weekend, or whenever it was the other day, when this organization presented this sort of 20,001p check or whatever it was, this publicity stunt that they did to try and sort of
I love it. I mean, I am a big fan of comedy checks in any scenario. Those comedy checks work, don't they, as a visual?
I have to say, all your checks are comedy checks. I know that. But they are approved by Swimmin In Estate Agency because they're made entirely of rubber and therefore never.
It's our first corporate sponsor.
But what's really interesting about that is this is a group that are campaigning for the very things that we as property people should be rejecting. They're campaigning for rent caps. They want her to be harder on our industry than she has been. So don't jump on the bandwagon and give those guys a leg up. They're absolute opportunists, and they haven't even got the 1 penny of funding on the end of that check to make all of this happen. At the end of the day, I think Property Mark didn't do anything wrong in getting her on as a speaker. And I'm going to say something else. Yes, you're a public servant to some point, but at that point, she wasn't a public servant particularly. And therefore, I would take every penny that I could get from speaking gigs after. I mean, when I finish here at Kerfuffle, I'm going to be on the speaker circuit, making after-dinner speeches for the rest of my life, right?
let's take it back as well. So obviously, you know, in terms of how much, it's interesting how many of the vitriol that she's obviously getting as a woman, as Labour and anything else, are perfectly comfortable with £5 million being given to Farage, you know, in terms of, you know, months before he was actually aware of it.
It is because she's a woman.
Yes.
It is because she's working class.
Yeah.
And people feel threatened by that. And I think that you need to sort of check yourself on that. But hats off to Property Mart. I thought they made a great signing. The irony of it is, she just turned out not to be as exciting a speaker as it was billed. That's all. You
can't build that up, can you? Look, and I think hats off again to Jason and Nathan for doing it, because, you know, you don't want to turn up and just watch vanilla old shit. I think, you know, the fact that we were upset that it stole our limelight from Alistair Campbell at our conference, talking about the fact that in a Whaley exclusive, got him to admit that he had a Jimmy Savile Jim will fix it badge. Were you in the room when he spoke about that? And I said, I can't remember. Obviously, it was me doing one of my little crude jokes again. And he admitted he got a badge. I said, how did you get a Jim will fix it badge? He said, I got it from a sick child.
Do you know what? I was watching the BBC sort of a dramatization of that, you know, with Steve Coogan.
Yeah, which is so brilliant and just showed.
It's amazingly well done. It's amazingly well done, and it's a big fat mea culpa from the big wigs at BBC. But my God, how on earth did we not all spot that?
Didn't they? Famously, it was just, you know, we're going back to again the enforcers enforcing. He used to invite the police round, didn't he, to get them into a cozy little room and have a cup of tea with it. So when any of these nutcases came up, everyone was culpable. And look, we all lined the streets, didn't we? Straight afterwards. I mean, that's the thing is,
I didn't line the streets straight afterwards.
No. You did. You will do when Gary Glitter goes. You love his stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big. Well, at least there's the music. We'll always have that, right?
But, you know, and I think it was the most discussed story on Pie this week, at least one of them. And obviously, you know, I'm one for just going through the comments. And Collaborator was obviously all these people coming out very strongly. I wasn't able to attend, but I heard that she was very good, value for money even. Maybe I'm wrong, but did anyone commenting actually go? Isn't that a classic case of, just to summarise what we are in the UK today? Yeah. Did anybody actually see what she had to say?
Do you know what? Actually, you and I know what speakers cost for conferences, and 20 grand for somebody of her stature is not bad going.
30 grand. Don't quote me on that, but you know, he's got a great laugh. But I'm not sure he knows about the Renters' Right Act as well as Angela.
No, but I do think that you know, hats off to her. Good luck to her. Let her earn whatever she needed to earn at that particular moment in time. It's different now because she's back in government, and so now that would be unseemly. But and the other thing is that I think these renters people, whoever they were, you forget the name of the insignificant organization that they're part of, but they are basically saying that government should not be cozying up to industry bodies like Property Mart. And what I've got to say is, we need more. It's clear that all the cozying up in the world and all the rubbing tootsies with people in Westminster has not been instrumental enough in stopping legislation that kills our industry. So we need more of it. So I'm a big fan of Property Mart getting even closer if they have to.
I think the likes of Nathan, the likes of Ben Beadle, you know, that are there fighting for their rights, it's got to be the way forward.
If there was another by-election somewhere in the country and Nathan Emerson ran in that by-election,
go on,
we can get him in as an MP. I mean, that is the perfect, you know, integration. The nexus of government and industry bodies coming together. We need representation in the House.
Okay, yeah, there we are, as well as swimming away. So you caught anything? Oh, hello there. And I've got to say hats off to Mr. Byfield. I liked your post there. Clocking off to spend some time with the family. Yeah, it helps if you've got a family you like.
It's very, I think it's very popular now, sort of saying, I'm taking a break. I'm just going to spend the rest of the holidays. And it's interesting that Mr. Byfield has waited till almost the penultimate week of the holidays to say that. It's brave at the beginning of July. It ain't so brave on the cusp of September.
I like the way you'll definitely be getting grief from the missus. What are you watching those two twats for?
You were meant to be on holiday.
What's the Kevin Hollingray bit in? I mean, I do.
Oh well, Kevin. No, so as Ian says, Kevin Hollingray is also that combination, isn't it?
Yeah. You know my views. Absolutely opposite ends of the political scale. What did he describe himself to? I'm the limoncello liberal to Kevin, but Kevin does probably one of the best jobs of the little respect I have for that party now. You do listen to what he has to say. He's very coherent and very
a big shout out to Mike Jarman. Nobody in the property industry will know who Mike Jarman is, but he's a very special individual, dear friend of the show. Whaley will remember we did our comedy with Mike. He was a very funny man.
He was funnier than us. That's all he had to do.
No, Mike is properly funny. We're just pretending. Yeah. Chances.
Yeah.
Talking of chances, can I just bring it back to AI very quickly again? I want to ask you a question because sometimes I'm asked to sort of speak to suppliers, and some of them you sit there and you think, wow, genuinely, these guys, they get it. That they've worked in the industry before. They know what agents need. They're building products that match the needs and wants of that community that they understand. Yeah. And then there's some people who basically, we built this on AI last week, and we were selling it to car dealers, and we thought estate agents, they'd be perfect for this.
It's mad.
So what I wanted to ask you about was that chancer gap.
Let's actually that chancer gap is a brilliant description for it. And as we said there, I think we're going to be on almost everyone's lookalike audience on Facebook now that they've kind of got us. And it must be 10 to 20 new proptech companies a week with their very cleverly spun out adverts that tell you they have a perfect product to solve all of these issues for estate agents. And you and I and our team are clicking on those now. And what you realise quite quickly is 99% of those, not only do they not have an estate agency client, they don't even operate in the UK, but they have just really, really cleverly used that AI to spin it out there. But this is why, and thank God we came up with it, because it wasn't strategic, but the whole concept of our conference being built on trust. If everything now looks like Apple quality, the single defining thing is, again, going back to Mike, don't tell me you're funny, make me laugh, is, okay, but which agents can you have that testify to all this amazing shit is actually happening? That's going to be much, much harder.
So can I ask you your Gerald Ratner moment question?
Go on.
Will you and will other people in the industry not take money off those companies until they're properly verified?
I think we've always said, I think I wouldn't do that. What I would say is, I'd say absolutely it's the reviews that keep everyone honest, isn't it? So I think in this day and age, the need for not just, we love reviews. Reviews are always going to be our currency on the site. But I think where it's going forwards is okay, we need much more in-depth case studies. If you're talking about these ROIs, what is the agent that is going to put their hand in the air and say, yes, that AI product solved, won me one more listing a week, or it saved me 2 hours. So I think that's the angle there. And we are rejecting the vast majority of those ones, definitely.
So Peter Lawrence, who has been watching us this morning, he's one of those agents that I think it's probably fair to say strikes a little bit of fear and respect into the heart of certain suppliers, because he's known for giving his opinion, and he will give you as much rope as you need, and if it works, great, he'll be an advocate, but if not, he'll speak out about it. And I think there are enough people now in our industry that will do that. And I think before you sign up for anything, I think it's completely reasonable to say, right, give me your top 3 cheerleaders. I want to go and talk to them. I want to pick up the phone and speak to them.
What Mintzy, we always say is, and make them as relevant as they are to the company. It's no point if you're, if you're Connells, it's no point giving them the reference from a single office agent in Hartlepool, and vice versa. Who are the companies like me that actually, can testify to my experience and what we get out of it? That's where the nuance comes, and that's where something, again, not coming back to why we should blow our own trumpet, but that's where the generic sites, good as they are, the Trustpilots and the Googles, will never get near. We obviously always try to find out what the job role of the person reviewing is, so that we can say, look, this is the best product for property managers or marketeers or valuers. The other thing is to find out who's moved from one particular product, because as you'll know yourself, moving from one CRM to another, there's a whole data conversion process and a change ethos that sometimes can be very difficult for one product to change to from another, and the capability to be able to do it as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. That chancer gap for me is a big thing now. I think because the technology makes it easy for us to roll out products and to also make it look like it's sort of market leading and it's the gold standard, you can't really sort of tell at first value now when you visit people's. You used to be able to sort of tell. You turn up at somebody's website, it'd be a bit shit because they haven't got the resource to put into it, and you think, this is a startup, I'm not really going to take a chance on it. But now everybody's website looks like Apple, doesn't it?
It does, and isn't it funny when you come and see a new presentation, you can spot the font, you can spot all of it. And by the way, that's fine. I'll dig out the link. I didn't get it in time for this, but there was one particular interview with an AI guru, whatever else, and he was talking about that power of the multiplier effect and how much more powerful the AI was going to be. And I'm pretty sure it was in 3 years' time, it's going to be 1 million more times more powerful than now. I mean, get your head around that change. So it's always, this is the shittest it's ever going to be, but in 3 years' time, solving cancer.
I think have some conversations with your kids. If you've got kids around my kids' age, they're sort of teenagers and they're coming into this world, and you ask them what they think about AI, you'll get very, very varied experiences and opinions. They don't love it. They do not like the fact that they cannot tell what is real and what's not. That is a real struggle for these people on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, on whatever it is that they're scrolling through. They genuinely cannot tell anymore what's real and what's an AI generated video, and it's bothering them.
Yeah, but in their defense, they didn't vote for Brexit, so they haven't been completely suckered like so many of the country.
In their defense, they weren't able to vote back then. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
It's an easy pop. It's I like to get that in, at least everyone. I think it is. I think that's so that. But there's the thing, isn't it? As well, is the need for a kerfuffle, or at least you to have your own process, your own due diligence. That because something looks as shiny as it possibly can be, what's it actually doing for you? Because we've got, what have we got? I think around about 1,000 on supply. We've got 1,000 on Kerfuffle at the moment. There's over 10,200 companies on Unisu, or that global sister of it there. That number is going to go through the roof over the next few years, and that's either terrifying or brilliant.
And it will mostly be from that AI supported arena. And I think the two questions that agents have always got to ask is, who else is using it, like me, and who's behind it? I'm a big fan of who's behind these products, because look at what Byfield's done with the depository. It shows it's been built by an agent, by somebody. Look at what Robert May builds. It shows it's built by somebody who lives and breathes
the ones that are out there at the moment. So you've got 3 really strong AI contenders, and these guys are fabulous because they are the industry versions of the AI tools out there. 3 ones that we were talking about. So we had AD, obviously, who was at Cinnamon, who did the Wales Den, which will be released this week, that we did there. Absolute great understanding of the industry, was really, really coherent about it, and is in conversation with low. You've then got Nesty, the guys who's obviously pulled on board, Peter Rawlings, I think it was one of our Dragons / Wales there. And then you've got Instep, who have got Grace coming from Rightmove, and Patrick Littlemore, ex-CEO of Marsh & Parsons. That's where as you just highlighted there, that the real the real, credits and plausibility, because these are the guys that were saying is, yes, there's AI, but we understand this industry and we're going to make it work for you.
Yeah, I think there's massive value in the people that understanding what we do, and it was always that thing, wasn't it? It was a solution looking for a problem. Sometimes that people have thought, oh, estate agents are going to love this, but they had no lived reality of our business.
You've got Robert May here. We've both caught up with him over the last 2 weeks again. So Robert May, obviously the granddaddy of being able to create, CFP, which was for absolute years, decades, the granddaddy of property management and accounts, wasn't it there? And the stuff he was showing us again in terms of the AI blended with that classic need case again there, totally brings it to bear, doesn't it? So these are, it's going to be, you're going to be able to count on two hands, basically, the AI companies that have got a demonstrable ability. Have they got a Malmacanian ability to understand and interpret that for the industry? And then all the other jokers and players that might do, but you will end up spending your time bespoking it for them, whereas you might as well benefit from everyone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's the future, and I think that there needs to be somebody out there that will help people discern between what's real and what's just chances, and that's why I asked you the questions that I did.
Yeah.
Actually, the difficult questions, whether or not you'd take their money, and you went, well, it wouldn't go that far.
No. Look, let's be very clear. Once you're in the room, you get my time. I haven't started taking crypto yet, but yeah.
We're not going to see you as a speaker at the next Property Mark conference, though.
20 grand, I'll do 3 months.
How long has he got?
Yeah. Right, that sounds like a perfect junction to let everyone go off. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing comments and, as usual, getting involved. Do have a look at this when we launch it. So we obviously launched Unisa or relaunched Unisa again. So I think we're going to be streaming this onto it as well. David is either doing an Ali G impression.
West Side. Yeah, look, get yourself out there. Get yourself swimming. It's the way forward.
And we get 15% of all memberships now, I believe, for SEER as well. So, or wait for my new swimming body in both senses of the word.
You can keep your sandwiches in this. It keeps it dry. Very useful.
Excellent. Well, you have all the good fun in the world. Everyone. Enjoy your Sundays, people. Bye.